All right, everybody. I've been looking for an hour online for this epic of Kirta, or Legend of Kirta, or also known as the Legend of Keret. Um, and I can't fucking find it. This is the only place I can find it. I heard a synopsis of it this morning when I was listening to the Oldest Stories podcast. And when I was listening to the Oldest Stories podcast, I wanted to talk about this, and I'm gonna put this on my Moses playlist on my Masterless Master channel. And I was really excited about doing this because when I was listening to the synopsis, I thought, oh my god, this is totally some Torah shit right here. Because every writer writes in a context, right? Every writer writes in a context, and so Moses himself wrote in a context, right? And what is Moses's context, right? Meso fucking Potamia, right? So we're talking Egypt, we're talking obviously Ur and Sumer, Mesopotamia, or Babylon, I mean. But his context is also very prominently, uh, the context of Moses is very prominently Canaanite, right? And so I started listening to the synopsis and I'm like, oh my god, this is crazy. So I haven't actually read it yet. Again, I couldn't find it. This is the only, this guy right here, Kohan Kilitz, is the only one, that's the only place, like I looked online, I just could not fucking find it. Fucking A, pisses me off, but whatever. Um, Now when I was looking online just now, oh my god, there were some websites out there, um, which called Keret a Mitanni or Hurrian uh, king, right? It's like what kind of stupid shit is this? Because like, as far as I understand it, and I could be wrong, as far as I understand it, the Mitanni are Indo-Europeans, right? And Ugarit is Semitic, right? And so where the I mean, now this is North Canaan, right? Or Canaan, and so yeah, no, I mean they may have been underneath the empire of the Mitanni, but he wasn't a Mitanni king. He was a Ugarit king, uh, a Canaanite king, right? And people have taught. I've heard about that, about Canaan or Phoenicia, and people debate what type of tribe these people were, right? But I mean, we could just easily just say they're fucking Western Semitics, right? Um, but this here right here, this legend right here, this legend of Keret is it would have been written most likely before Moses's day, right? And so this is this is the land of Canaan, before it is conquered by Moses. And of course, he didn't conquer all of Canaan. Um, And I know all you people out there think Joshua did it, but no, Moses did it. Joshua was just Moses is Ninurta. Um, just like Aaron, Aaron and Joshua were the same figures. They were just tools of Moses, propaganda tools. Um, so they conquered southern Canaan, and not even all of southern Canaan, because the Greeks had the coastline. Um, Otherwise known as the Philistines, right? But I was really excited when I was learning about this synopsis, because I totally saw the commentary that Moses has against the Phoenicians, right? This is total Phoenician shit right here. Oh my god. And Moses is the complete opposite. He's very critical. Uh I mean, for me, it's like when I see stuff like this, it's like obvious that um Moses did not uh destroy the Phoenicians, because the Phoenicians are Jews, you know. Um, Abraham himself was from Ur, so if he's from Ur, that means he's Sumerian, right? And Sumerians aren't even Semites, which is funny because I think modern Jews just like love the fact that they're Semites. But Abraham wasn't originally a Semite. He was from Ur. He was from Sumeria, right? And Sumeria. Um, Now, yeah, I've heard some things about who the Sumerians were and what their language was. This is just stuff I've heard a long time ago. I don't, anybody out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, Sumerian is not Semitic, right? The Sumerians were a lot like the Greeks or Phoenicians in the Mediterranean, right? The Greeks and the Phoenicians went around the Mediterranean, and they put up these different colonies, and so Sumer is a colony from somewhere else, and one of the one of the cool things I heard is that there's some people who believe that the Sumerians are southern Asian Indians, right? I haven't heard the word Dravidians, right? So I don't know if that's true, but the original Jew, Abraham, was maybe a Dravidian, right? Although Sumer and Mesopotamia were very cosmopolitan places, so therefore Abraham may have been mixed, Sumerian and Semitic, whatever Sumerian is. Um, but when in my other readings of the Torah, I claim that Moses believes in the wisdom of these Sumerians. And he disagrees with the wisdom of Marduk and the Babylonians. Right? He's completely against the Marduk shit. And he likes I think Moses was a fan of Hermes Trismegistus and of Sumerian literature. And he's not a fan of the Legend of Keret. But I haven't read this here. I've only seen a synopsis. Uh, so we'll go over this. But um, before we start, I just want to repeat that At, as your heaven is, so too will be your earth. So, and I think I've proven this in my readings of Sumer and Babylon. Um, so, in other words, what I mean by that is whoever your gods are, or God, whoever your heaven is, that will give you an insight into the culture and the politics of the people of that religion, right? And I think that's what we're going to see here today in the legend of Keret, right? Or Kurta. Um, and we're going to get an insight into the politics and the culture of the Phoenicians, of the Canaanites. Uh, and in getting an insight into the politics and the culture of the Canaanites and the Phoenicians, we're going to be able to fucking see Moses' commentary against this Phoenician society. Moses had big problems with this Phoenician society. Um, but let us get to the thing now. This is going to be read by I guess Kohan. I don't even know if they'll let me show this because I don't know, might violate um, copyright, whatever. I don't know. We'll see though. I want to do this. I put the transcript up here just in case you can't hear it, so we can read along. Um, and let's start this out.
Concerning Keret, king, Keret the noble, Naaman the lad of El, kinship. The house of a king is destroyed that had 7 brethren, 8 mother sons. Keret in offspring is ruined. Keret is undermined of establishment. His lawful wife he did find, his legitimate spouse. He married the woman, and she departed. Flesh of kinship had he. 1/3 died at birth, 1/4 of sickness, 1/5 the pestilence gathered unto itself, 1/6 the sea engulfed, 1/7 thereof fell by the sword. He sees his offspring doth Keret, he sees his offspring ruined, wholly undermined his seat, and in its entirety a posterity perishing, and in its totality a succession. He enters his cuticle, he weeps, and interchambering cries, his tears do drop like shekels to the ground. His bed was soaked by his weeping, and he slept a slumber in his crying. Sleep prevails, and he lies slumbering, and he reclines, and in his dream El descends in his vision.
Okay. Now, first thing to note, for those who don't know, L, I don't know, well, this is the transcript, so this is, I don't think he wrote this, but L is E-L, not E-L-L-E. So El is was one of the Canaanite gods. And so that in a lot of Hebrew words, like Daniel, Gabriel, Samuel, it ends with El, and El means God, right? So, but when Moses uses El, he's talking generically about Yahweh, right? This is when he's talking about God. So El just means God, and it means the one God, right? When they use El, they're talking about a specific God, right? This is the god El, and we also know of Baal and other Canaanite and Phoenician gods. Um, I mean, okay. So what do we know about the Phoenicians and the Canaanites? We know that the Phoenicians and the Canaanites were merchants, right? Um, Now, if we want to get an insight into the Canaanites, then we would have to go examine, historically speaking, different uh, uh, tribes that are similar to the Canaanites. And so when we hear about the Phoenicians, we know that they are merchants, right? They are merchants, and we can see this, right? This is the I mean, this is the analogy he uses. His tears do drop like shekels to the ground. Now I could be wrong. I think shekel means coin, basically. So I mean, we can see in this descriptive right here that again this is you have to understand that anytime you write something, you're writing to an audience, right? And so the audience being written to right now is obviously the leadership, first and foremost, of this Phoenician society, right? Because if we want to learn about merchant societies, then we have to realize that the merchants don't care about the tribe, right? And that's obvious to see because when we look at other merchant societies, other merchant societies throughout history get very, very powerful. We all know their name, we know some of their history, but then they disappear, right? They completely disappear, right? And so we know that the what is it? The Romans versus the Punes. Punes. What the fuck was that city called? Something must be destroyed. What did he say? Fuck, man. I forgot the name of it. But the Phoenician city in North Africa, um, it was a very powerful city. um, and it was a competitor to the Greeks. This Phoenician city in North Africa was competitor to the Greeks for centuries. There was this huge Mediterranean war that happened between the Greeks and the Phoenicians that most of you know nothing about because it was hidden from history by the Phoenicians. Um, and we know bits and pieces of it, obviously. Um, but this Phoenician city in North Africa eventually defeated the Greeks, and the Greeks are obviously went on a downward slide. But then the Romans came in, and the Romans beat the crap out of them, and these Phoenicians disappear from history, right? Then we can go to Venice, right? Venice was another merchant city, right? Um, and Venice was very powerful. Everybody knows about Venice. But then Venice gets defeated, and boom, they disappear. They disappear, right? And then we can talk about the English, right? Now I want you to do a thought experiment here. Now the thought experiment is this: let us pretend that America never existed, right? Let's pretend America never existed. If America never existed, I want you to look at the English Empire without America ever existing. And if the English get defeated in a war just once, the whole of the English language is now going to be endangered, right? If it wasn't for uh, America, because America is an English-speaking nation, right? But all you need is England to be defeated once, and now like English is going to disappear in India. English is going to disappear completely disappear in Asia. English is going to disappear in Africa. It's going to disappear everywhere. And if England itself gets invaded and conquered, and a new language or tribe comes into being in England, then the English people are going to disappear because when you look at the history of this English empire, and you actually read about the people in this English empire, you're going to see that they're debt slaves, that their lives are misery and pain, and but they're brainwashed, and so they're like, yeah, go England, even though they're fucking slaves. Um, but I mean, we see this all throughout history. The merchant class doesn't care about the tribe, even though they pretend to, right? They pretend to care about the tribe, but the population numbers are usually extremely small in these merchant societies. And these merchants only care about the bottom line. They don't care about conquering new territory and really establishing their people and language in new territory, and trying, because like assimilation, to try to assimilate another tribe into yours is not good for profit. It's just not. And so now America is a special case, and that would be because America is still a merchant society, but they're different. They're something new in history or whatever. Um, but America itself is totally in danger right now. Oh my God. But we see this in here, right? Because Carrot really cares about what would be called a dynasty, right? Or inheritance, right? Um, it's like all his sons are dead, and it's like this guy's not even sad that his sons are dead. He's sad that he doesn't have inheritance to pass on. Um, because in a merchant society, there's not going to be really any spirituality. Spirituality is to be used by the merchants to trick the underclass. They themselves are going to be extremely materialistic, right? And so to them, immortality has to do with carrying your blood on throughout the ages. And let's go to Moses real quick before we end this. Like, as you're listening to this, I mean, think about the sacrifice of Abraham's son, right? Think about how the sacrifice of Abraham's son is so foreign to this Phoenician way. Like Moses came into Canaan in order to do a revolution against materialistic, greedy merchant classes. And for Moses is constantly talking about purifying your household. Later on in the Torah, it's going to talk about it's better to have a small, good family than a large, evil, obnoxious family. And as goes families, so goes tribes, right? So it's better to have a small, good tribe than a large, evil, obnoxious tribe, right? And so in the Torah, you're supposed to give your child away to God. You're supposed to let your child go. Well, that's not what these merchants do. These merchants want to set their children up. They want to set their children up into they want to set their children up into richness, materialistic pain, or materialistic victory, right? And like we can also see this because like we can also see that they're merchants because they're using fractions, right? One third. They're talking about one third of the sons died at birth, right? One fourth of sickness, right? These are merchants right here. This is a merchant. This is a merchant society and a merchant class, right? Um, but if you have just one son and you kill them, this is that like the sacrifice of Abraham's son would be evil. It would be complete evil to these greedy, vain, materialistic merchants, right? But if your son, and this goes into Samuel, and I'll get into Samuel later, and Samuel is really fun. But at the beginning of Samuel, this totally goes into Samuel because the high priest that Samuel replaced had two evil sons. And what should that father have done, especially since he's high priest? Especially since he's high priest. What should this high priest have done? He should have killed those two little shits because he follows the first law. His sons are thieving, lying murderers who are terrorizing the Jewish people. And so Samuel's predecessor as high priest should have fucking got the job done. Right? So this idea that if your child is a murderer, like, oh my god, here it is. Oh my god, here it is. Moses's ideas on family are very close to the old Roman Republic laws, right? Because the old Roman Republic laws state that you are responsible for your household. And if your children are murderers, then you're a murderer, unless you kill them. Unless you take justice into your own hands and say, hey, I'm not a murderer. No son of mine is a murderer. Fuck these little bitches. I'm going to kill them. Like, think about this, right? Like, this guy is, he's only concerned about this, petty, superficial thing called dynasty. Like this is his immortality, right? And I think we'll stop it here and go on later. But as we'll find out later, like he has other sons, and he doesn't even fucking like his sons, and his sons don't like him. Like his son wants him dead, and he's like, what the fuck? And it's like he's getting angry at his son's getting angry at him. Like they don't even fucking like each other. And so as I was listening to it, I was kind of thinking that the author of this, and I think we know the author's name at the end of this text, but the author of this may have been criticizing his own society. So I'm totally excited to keep doing this Legend of Keret.